afternoon. I'm gonna say this is take 3 because I don't know what's going on with my phone, but I've recorded about 10 minutes and then for whatever reason, I guess the video shut down. Then I had another video I just did and I hand gestured it and it shut the video off and everything. So I'm gonna be very careful with my hands because I guess, I have one of those phones. If you do a gesture, it reads it and then it's over. It shuts it down. So I have to be very careful with my hands. But anyway, for those who's not familiar, this is the Struggle is RELL channel. My name is Terrell, and basically this is my part 3 for the accountability series. Just a recap of yesterday. Yesterday we were basically talking about showing up. Touched in on, who are we showing up for? So obviously we're showing up to our jobs, showing up for family, we're showing up to our businesses, we're showing up for our, friends. Those are the things that are more than likely the obvious things that we do in life. Now, how we're showing up is very important because obviously you could do great in some areas and you could become, you can go half cock on another. You could show up great for family, but then show up late to your job and, have your team members and your, coworkers and your managers and stuff looking at you funny and stuff and feeling like, you're not a team player. So really how you show up, you can't just, if you're going to be a person that shows up, you have to you have to do your due diligence and show up thoroughly through everything. You can't be half-ass on one area and great in another and stuff. It just doesn't work, because I feel like if you do that, you're blocking your blessing. And then I guess in the other aspect of it is, why are you showing up? Because obviously your why is the biggest reason why you might not be playing your part, like, why you might be showing up late. So like if you're showing up late to your job, you have to really question your why. Are you showing up because maybe you don't like your job? You're not showing up for your job. You're not like, you're always late. You're coming in barely on time. You got to really question, your why. You have to like, okay, I've been coming in late for a whole week and I'm like barely crossing that line before the the buzzer goes off at work. So you have to really ask yourself, okay, why am I showing up on time or late every day? You have to be like, okay, do I really like my job? Do I really want to be here? Because if you don't want to be there, why are you just doing the disservice of failing your team every day, showing up late and coming in half cocked and everything? So you have to really do a self-assessment of yourself and really ask a certain question. If you're not showing up for your friends, you got to really ask the question, do I really care about this friend? Do I really love them? Are they really showing up for me? Because maybe they're not showing up for you, so you feel like, oh, fuck them, I'm not gonna show up for them, So everything has its reasons. You can't say, oh well, everything's fine. It's like no, it's not fine. So who you're showing up for, how you're showing up, and your whys are very important. You have to make sure that they all in line, because if they don't align, then something's off. So that was for yesterday. All right, now today we're going to talk about who's showing up for you. Now obviously the people that should be showing up for you is your family, your friends, your job. I guess it depends on the type of job you have. Obviously, if you have a company that has like great benefits and great incentives and stuff, there's going to be things that they show up for on your end that'll help you out in a pinch. But that's pretty much where everything lines up. So if you have a business and you have a team, they should be showing up for you, and they should be in your corner when you're going through something, and they should be able to tell, hey, this person's going through something, we need to help them out, we need to aid in their success. And I only say that because I'm still kind of like lightweight talking about the whole Marshawn Nealon thing, when he, the whole suicide thing, because I feel like maybe his team kind of failed him. Now, I'm not pointing out any fingers. I'm not going to necessarily say that that's the absolute case, but I just feel like with you being a part of a sports team, with high profile sports team, and you got like high paid players, and you guys are in the locker room together, I would just feel like there's a camaraderie. And I know about this because I've done sports, so there should be some level of camaraderie where you could look at your look at your left, look at your right, and say, hey, you seem off today, what's going on with you? Those are the type of things we should really be checking for. And this can go all the way into like your relationships. Who's showing up for you in your relationship? Better yet, is your significant other showing up for you? Is where I should be saying. I wasn't saying it right. Yeah, and that's pretty much the circle of life, as far as who should be showing up for you. Now, how they show up, I guess, is really important, because you have to know if they're showing up with ill intentions. You want to make sure that people are not doing this with an ulterior motive, or you wash my back, I wash yours, in a devious way. You got to make sure that this person is not looking to get one up over you. It's not a one up. Everybody should be showing up in your life like with the same generous level of love, and you have to be able to read that. If you're not able to read your circle, then you're lightweight in trouble. So everybody in your circle should be doing what they're supposed to be doing. You should be able to read them. You should know why they're showing up. They shouldn't be showing up with their hand out after you ain't seen them in years and you ain't talked to them. You should be able to evaluate and check your circle. Why people are showing up for you. Well, everybody's why should be connected to the same reason of why for you. Like, I guess, if your wife is showing up for you, well, if you show up for her, and how you show up for her, it should be the same way of how she should be showing up for you. If your wife is not showing up for you, and she's failing in, in her area, and I'm talking about across the board. I'm talking about bedroom, I'm talking about finances, I'm talking about conversations, talks, and everything. All of that stuff matters. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say everything is super perfect in my marriage and stuff. I feel like me and my wife had our moments where, maybe one of us is showing up better in one area than the other, and vice versa, finances and stuff like that. So all of this, you have to make sure everybody's on the same page, because if everybody's not on the same page, you're playing a dangerous game. And then this is where, I guess, what you would call like mental health starts coming into play, and where you're not having those conversations at home and stuff. You start lacking in an area. I guess you should be like watching your significant other, because then maybe there might be some infidelity in the picture and stuff. So, and I'm saying all of this out of experience, not my personal experiences, but people that's around me experiences. I guess in this past year of 2025, and even the reason why I'm even doing this video is because within my friends, my family, my immediate circle, I've seen this like live and direct of how people are not showing up for their partners, people are not showing up for their friends, people are not showing up for their kids, people are not showing up for their jobs, people are not showing up for their businesses, people like, we could even go take it into like, Hollywood and politics and whatever. I mean, not to get too crazy, but I guess you have to really think like, who do we, like a lot of people over the years that we could have seen as leaders, they failed us. And I would even say more of my culture. I'm not going to even just go, there's not no political thing. This is probably just in my culture. People that I admire, people that I, had like a high bar and standard of, like, wow, this person's great. Like, oh my God, they're going to go far. These people fail miserably. And you be like, damn. So you had some low morals. Like your why was shit. It's crazy. And I mean, but going back to my circle, it's just like, the reason why I'm even doing these videos is because I have to make sure I put this out here, because, God forbid something happened to me. I don't want everybody to think that was all peachy keen in my end of what I saw, because there's some bad dealings in my family and in my friend circles. And I want to make sure that if I am continuing to be around, and once these videos do become more and more viewed and people catch wind, it's like, people will be like, oh, I feel like you might have been shouting me out in that video and stuff, and that's fine, and I'm here to help. This is not me crucifying anybody. This is a way of helping. We have to show up for everybody. So, and then to take it back to the whole suicide thing with Marshawn, who should have been there for him? Who dropped the ball on him? No pun intended. Who didn't show up for him? His mom passed, so she couldn't show up for him. Who dropped the ball on him? It's crazy. It's crazy. And honest to God, like, I feel like, I did say this in my first video, I was there in life. I was there, and I think everybody in our culture goes through that, where they're like literally in that realm of like, dude, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. But I definitely was there before, and not even for no real reason. I was young. I was, in my early 20s, mid 20s, whatever. And I was like, I don't want to be here. But who showed up for me? No, I didn't have at that time. I really didn't have like the greatest circle of friends. But you want to know who showed up for me? I would just say this, and then this is the big one. God always shows up, and He talks to you. He puts something in you. And I guess the other big thing would be like, I thought about my family. I had to be there for them. I had to show up for them. I had to be there for my brother. At that time, I didn't even have my younger brother. I don't think I did, or he might have been really little at the time. But yeah, I guess it's just more so you have to make sure you're showing up with the right intentions, because if you're not showing up with the right intentions on your end, people won't show up for you. And when those things are not aligned, it really it's just a recipe for disaster. So I want to just finish out this series with this. We have to very, very important that we do this. We have to start a community. We really need to get together. Everybody needs to, start leaning in on each other a little bit more. I'm here. I'm not what you would call. I'm not a pastor. I'm not a counselor for anybody at all. Far from it. But I do feel like I have some level of wisdom to pass to somebody. Maybe I have even a better perspective to pass to somebody. And even if it's just that, or even me, if I'm going through something and somebody handed me a perspective that's different from mine that helped me get through a situation, that's golden. So that's all I would highlight to somebody. Anybody out there that needs something to, someone to lean on, and everything, I'm here. I mean, this is not gonna just be with me. I'm gonna make sure that this community grows. So let's start leaning in on each other. Let's really start looking out for one another. And again, I'm human, so I might need to lean on y'all. So that's pretty much it. I'm 16 minutes in. I got to get back to work, but this is the Struggle is Real channel. I'm shutting down this accountability series. Also, too, you might see this dangling right in front of my face. This is my brand. This is martial arts. It doesn't really hold no significance right now, but it will soon in the future. You guys will understand here real soon what that means. But just if you ever see me do a video and I have this in front, don't think it's just some random thing that I just have. It's really for something. So that's it, and I will check you guys out tomorrow. Be safe, be well, and peace.